Good day everyone. I will be discussing to you how to make a three-way table of specification. First, what is a TOS? The table of specifications or TOS is a tool used to ensure that a test or assessment measures the content and thinking skills that the test intends to measure. A TOS helps you plan out your exam. It will make your test creation process more methodological and organized. Creating a solid terms of specification will increase the likelihood of you creating a test that is valid and reliable. There are few steps on how to create a TOS. Step number 1. Determine the coverage of your exam. The first rule in making exams, and therefore in making a document called Table of Specification, is to make sure the coverage of your exam is something that you have satisfactorily taught in class. Select the topics that you wish to test in the exam. It is possible that you will not be able to cover all of these topics, as it might create a test that is too long and will not be realistic for you. Select only the most important topics. For step number 2, you should determine your testing objectives for each topic. In this step, you will need to be familiar with Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills. Bloom has identified the hierarchy of learning objectives from the lower thinking skills of knowledge and comprehension to the higher thinking skills of evaluation and synthesis. Bloom's taxonomy has 6 categories, starting from lower level to highest. We have the remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So for each content area that you wish to test, you will have to determine how you will test each area. Will you test simply the recall of knowledge, or will you be testing their comprehension of the matter? Or perhaps you will be challenging them to analyze and compare and contrast something. Again, this would depend on your instructional objectives in the classroom. Did you teach them lower thinking skills, or did you challenge them by making them think critically? Your objectives per topic area should use very specific verbs in how you intend to test the students using the Bloom's taxonomy. It is important that your terms of specification reflect your instructional procedures during the semester. If your coverage on a topic mostly dwelt on knowledge and comprehension of material, then you cannot test them by going up the hierarchy of Bloom's taxonomy. Thus, it is crucial that you give a balanced set of objectives throughout the semester depending on the nature of your students. Step number 3. Determine the duration for each content area. The next step in making the table of specifications is to write down how long you spent teaching a particular topic. This is important because it will determine how many points you should devote for each topic. Logically, the longer time you spent on teaching a material, then the more questions should be devoted for that area. Step number 4 is determining the test types for each objective. Now that you have created your table of specifications for your test by aligning your objectives to Bloom's taxonomy, it's time to determine the test types that will accomplish your testing objectives. For example, knowledge questions can be accomplished easily through multiple choice questions or matching types exams. If you want to test evaluation or synthesis of a topic, you will want to create exam type questions, or perhaps you will ask the students to create diagrams and explain their diagrams in their analysis. The important thing is that the test type should reflect your testing objective. Step number 5. Polish your table of specification. After your initial draft of the table of specifications, it's time to polish it. Make sure that you have covered in your terms of specification the important topics that you wish to test. The number of items for your test should be sufficient for the time allotted for the test. And now that we know what is TOS and how to create it, we will now discuss the three-way TOS. This is an example of a three-way TOS. First, you need to identify your method of assessment. In this example, we choose multiple choice. The next thing you'll do is determining your content. These are the things that you have taught in class. Next is listing the time you allotted for each content. For example, in content number 1, you allotted 6 hours in teaching details regarding character, setting, and plot. In content number 2, you allotted 3 hours. In content number 3, you allotted another 3 hours, and so on and so forth. The next thing you'll do is to find out how many items is allotted to each content. In order to determine the number of items per content, you need to solve it using this formula. Number of items per content equals total number of items, which in this example is 40 items, then divided to the total number of days or hours, which is 48 hours for this specific example, then multiply it to the number of days or hours the content was taught. For example, in content number 1, which is 6. In this example, we need to divide 40 to 48 because 40 is the total items and then 48 is the total hours. So we have 0.83. Now we need to multiply it to the number of days the content is taught. For example, in content number 1, it is taught for 6 hours. Then 0.83 is multiplied to 6. Now we get 5 as the total number of items for content number 1. The next thing you'll do is to see if where will be the item should fall. It could be in remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, or creating. For example, in content number 1, the total items is 5. Now, items 1 to 3 falls under remembering. Item number 4 falls evaluating, and item number 5 falls to understanding. The next step is to know the percentage of the items for each content. In order to do this, you need to divide the total number of items, which is 40 in this example, from the total number of items for each content, then multiply to 100. So for example, in content number 1, the total items is 5. We need to divide it to the total number of items, which is 40. Now we get 0.125. Now we need to multiply it to 100 to see the percentage, which is 12.5. As you can see in the example, the percentage of item in content number 1 is 12.5%. Now, you need to do this to the rest of the content. And that's how you make a three-way TOS. Thank you for listening.